All right, Virgos, welcome to your weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast. This is for December 7th through the 13th. My name is Athen, and this is for Sidereal Astrology. If you're new to this type of astrology, do check the description down below. All right, Virgo, so a very transformative week as it has been this later part of November, early part of December. We've got a new moon taking place here in your third house on Friday, as well as an important transit involving Mars forming a T-square up to Pluto and Uranus. That's really the transformational energies here, which we'll talk about. And Mercury shifting into your fourth house, so your ruler shifting signs. I think there's a shift in perspective for a lot of you. And there's quite a few aspects this week. So I'm going to talk about the most important ones for you Virgos and generally. And if you do have any questions, feel free to comment down below. So Monday, Tuesday, we do have finishing up with Mars squaring up to Pluto exact, within that 1 degree orb. Now, it's still going to be important, especially with Mars opposing up to Uranus midweek, and it's all part of this T-square. So the key with this is that it's been so important for you to have changes with yourself, with your motivations, with your drives, with your intentions. You've had Mars in your first house, so there has been a lot of drive and motivation the past almost couple months for you to pursue your goals and plans in life and things like that, your intentions, which is great. But this is signifying that maybe there's some serious energy that needs to be implemented into it to really change, maybe some old belief systems. So the more open we are to change with any square up to Pluto, the better. And this could also be changed with the way you communicate, with the way you express yourself, with the way you think about things, also maybe even about what's really meaningful to you in life, which is Mars ruling your 8th house as well. So change. It's all about change with you in those areas in particular. So being open to that and working at it constructively. Now, the key to working at it constructively, I feel like this week is going to be that Uranus is pulling on that Mars. So often this feels like we want to break free. We want to make some sudden changes. We want to just, free ourselves from any kind of limitations. Now, this will likely be involving the 7th house for you, which is where you've had Uranus transiting. So it's been important for you to have freedom in relationships, to have autonomy, independence, the mutual understanding, mutual respect, where two unique individuals come together. And this is all relationships, not just romantic ones. But there's something there that's sort of prompting you to free yourself. Maybe it's with yourself in some way, with your identity, maybe make some drastic changes or, new things with that. So that the key is that there's something to listen to with this. It's a very important transit, and it's so that we can have more freedom of self-expression, freedom of, and through our relationships. So listen to it, but keep it grounded, because oppositions, usually we have a teeter-tottering effect where we either go to the extreme for you, maybe with self, maybe, too much emphasis on your own goals or plans or who you think you are, that kind of thing. And then on the other, your own intentions, really what you just want. And then your 7th house is, the extreme of relationships, of focusing on the other, too much, because it's so important to have these areas of life always balanced. But what the key really is that there's really no polarity between these two, that there's, what's really good for us is actually good for the relationship. But what I mean, is that what is really good for you, not just anything that's good for you is good for relationships. It doesn't work like that. Neither is anything that's good for relationships good for you. But what's really good for you is actually good for relationships and everyone involved, obviously, and vice versa. So maybe that, maybe seeing that does help with this perspective, but listen to that freedom. There's something there, and take it nice and slow, nice and constructive this week. So with that, we have the new moon on Friday. And so this is involving your communications. It's involving maybe the social aspects of life. A lot of you might be thinking about maybe getting a little more social or maybe working. And this is all maybe quite serious because you've had Saturn recently go into your 3rd house. So maybe doing some writing, maybe some communication, some reading, some learning, things like that. So it's a good time for that. But with the lowering of energies, it's kind of good to be experimental with it, adapt with it. And then as the next couple of weeks unfold, there's a lot more energy, just motivation energy available for that, because it's a lowering week. These new moons, especially the balsamic phase leading up to it, it's a good time to reflect, to go within and set intentions. And then, going into next week, actually implementing them. So that's all involving that 3rd house of yours. And then Mercury midweek also does go into your 4th. So I think naturally, you guys have been, I think, focused on the social, communicative, or learning, that sort of thing lately. But with your ruler going into the 4th, I think there's going to be more of a focus thinking about the emotional aspects of life, maybe home, maybe family, maybe health, things like that. So it's a good shift and something to work with Mercury in that 4th house. So going into this week, Mercury does square up to the North Node, so there is a lot to learn about your life path in general for all of us. The Sun does trine up to Uranus Tuesday and Thursday, so it could be an exciting time. And this is, again, maybe in regards to those relationships, with Uranus there. But maybe it's social, maybe it's more lighthearted, maybe it has to do with, that writing or communicating or sharing information or learning. The Sun does square up to Chiron, so it is a healing week. Being open to healing for all of us, I think, will be important. Venus does trine up to Neptune on Friday, so that could be an easygoing time, and for you specifically around the more expansive views of life, maybe connecting to nature, to travel, to philosophy, astrology, things like that could be easygoing. Could be easygoing for you in general with Venus in your 1st house, feeling good, looking good, as it's been the case. But that's, I think, an easier energy to work with this week. And maybe in the financial material stuff, maybe some flow there, serendipitous energy. So that's pretty much for the week. Now the week ends with the Sun squaring up to Jupiter. I'll talk more about this next time, but do keep everything nice and grounded. Could be a good time to learn more about spirituality going into next week. But the emphasis is new beginnings around the learning, communication, exchanging, learning more about yourself, in terms of the mind, how you see things, your viewpoints. But it's all transforming this week. It's all transforming you and how you communicate and share, and also what's really meaningful to you in life. So being open to change there and finding that, importance of freedom in your one-on-one connections and with yourself, I think is going to be the emphasis. All right, Virgo, so have a great week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys all next time. Take care.